Okay, let's just dive right in. Have you ever had that feeling, you know the one, that the apps and websites you used to love are just getting worse? Like, noticeably worse. It feels like the whole internet is just in a nosedive, right? Well, today we're going to explore a really powerful theory that explains exactly why that's happening.
And let me just say, if that feeling sounds familiar, you are absolutely not alone. And no, you're not imagining it. This isn't just you being nostalgic for the good old days of the internet. This is a real, observable, and frankly accelerating decay that's happening pretty much everywhere you look online.
So that leads to the big question, right? How is it even possible that all these different platforms, I'm talking social media, online shopping, you name it, how do they all seem to be getting worse at the exact same time? Is this just some massive coincidence? Or is there actually a system behind all of this?
All right, so let's move on from just having this vague, sinking feeling and get to a real diagnosis. It is time to put a name to this digital disease.
And that name is Enshittification. Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, maybe a little naughty, but it is not just a joke word. It's a seriously powerful theory that explains exactly how and why online services go downhill. In fact, it's so precise and so useful that the American Dialect Society actually named it their 2023 Word of the Year. And they did that because it perfectly describes this predictable, repeatable pattern of decay.
And you know, just like a disease, this whole process isn't random at all. It actually has a natural history, a series of predictable stages that we can watch and track as they happen.
So here it is. This is the entire playbook, laid out in 4 simple steps. First, the platform is really good to you, the user, to get you to sign up and stick around. Then, once you're locked in, they start to abuse you to make things better for their business customers. Think advertisers. After that, they turn around and abuse those business customers to claw back every last scrap of value for themselves. And finally, well, the platform becomes a useless pile of, you can read the slide, and everyone is just left trapped in the wreckage.
Okay, so that's the theory. Now, let's get into some real-world patient case files and see exactly how this playbook works on platforms we all know, and, let's be honest, probably used to love. And our first case file, you knew it was coming, is the classic example, Facebook. It's really the perfect place to see this theory in action. I mean, Facebook followed these 4 stages perfectly. Remember stage 1? They lured us all away from MySpace with that clean, chronological feed, and they promised they'd never spy on us. It was actually fun back then. Then came stage 2. Once we were all hooked, they started, spying on us to sell those hyper-targeted ads, and they just crammed our feeds with publisher content. Then stage 3. They started squeezing the businesses, jacking up ad prices, and, get this, forcing publishers to pay money just to reach the followers they already had. And that brings us to today, stage 4. The feed is just this wasteland of ads and boosted junk. A lot of people have left, and then there's that whole desperate pivot to the metaverse.
But hey, this pattern isn't just for social media, not at all. Our next patient is the e-commerce giant itself, Amazon.
Okay, to really get what's happened at Amazon, let's start with a number. For every single dollar a merchant makes selling something on Amazon, the platform takes between 45 and 51 cents. Not 10 cents, not 20 cents, we're talking nearly half of every dollar, gone in fees.
So you gotta ask, where is all that money coming from? Well, a huge chunk of it is this, $38 billion a year. That's how much Amazon makes just by charging merchants to get their products placed higher in the search results. It's not really a search engine for products anymore, is it? It's a pay-to-play ad platform. And all of this creates something researchers call Amazon's pricing paradox. So think about it. You search for something and you think you're seeing the best products, right? Wrong. What you're actually seeing are paid ads. The best actual match for what you searched for is on average 17 spots down the page. And that top result you click on, it costs on average 29% more than the best real deal. But here's the kicker. Because merchants have to jack up their prices on Amazon to cover all those fees, they're forced to raise their prices everywhere else too. So you end up paying the Amazon tax even when you're not shopping on Amazon.
Okay, this all brings up a really important question. Why is this happening to so many different platforms all at once? How are they all getting away with it? To figure that out, we have to look at the underlying conditions that are letting this disease spread like wildfire.
And the answer really comes down to a concept called switching costs. It's basically everything you're forced to give up when you decide to leave a service. And for something like social media, it's not about the money. The cost of leaving is losing your friends, your communities, your audience. You're basically choosing to become disconnected.
So even when a platform becomes a genuinely terrible, even abusive place, people stay. And this quote really explains why. Being together, even in a bad place, often feels a whole lot better than being alone. That community becomes your lifeline, but at the same time, it's an anchor, which makes trying to coordinate some kind of mass escape almost impossible.
Okay, so why now? Why is all this enshitting happening so aggressively at this particular moment? Well, the simple answer is that the forces that used to keep companies in line, the things that stopped them from behaving this way, have been systematically taken apart over the last 40 years.
Historically, there were two big things that kept companies in check. First, you had competition. Simple, right? If a service got bad, you could just pack up and go to a rival. That threat of you leaving kept them honest. And second, you had regulation. If a company was cheating people, the government could step in with fines and penalties to make it stop. But after decades of mergers and really weakened enforcement, both of those guardrails, they're basically just a shadow of what they used to be.
So now that we've seen the symptoms, the mechanism, and the cause of this whole disease, we have to ask the most important question of all. Is there a cure?
And this right here is probably the most crucial thing to understand in all of this. Enshittification isn't some unstoppable law of nature. It's not an inevitable part of technology. It is the direct result of very specific policy decisions that were made by very specific people.
And you know what? That actually gives us a path forward. Because if this is a man-made problem, then it can have a man-made solution. If bad policies that gutted competition and regulation, created this mess, well, then good policies designed to bring them back can help us clean it all up. Which leaves us with one final, really critical question. Look, this isn't just about complaining that our favorite apps aren't as fun as they used to be. This is about whether we can actually reverse this decay. Can we build a digital world that's designed for people to thrive in, not just to have value extracted from them? Can we, really, build an internet that is resistant to enshittification?